Oi, Mozi, vou começar, tá bom? Acho que tá tudo certo. Eu comecei o jogo, eu dei pause, tá? Vou iniciar. Isso aqui parece ser uma árvore genealógica, não parece? Ali em cima tá tipo os Finches, que deve ser tipo, exemplo, os Borbas. Aí tem tipo a galera e a data de nascimento de cada um. Começa com Odin, 1880, morreu em 1977, aí sim vai. O mais velho, 1880. É, o mais velho é esse. Aí acho que a gente deve ser aquela mulher ali, ó, Edith, 1999. E não morreu ainda. Deve ser porque é nós, né? Eu acho que é. E tem outras pessoas ali nas folhas também. Mas foda-se, vai, vou jogar. Sério, como é que eu me movimento?
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you. And I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
Vou começar do começo, com a casa, beleza. Ah, então a gente tá num barco e ela vai contar a história. E quando ela for contar a história, a gente começa a jogar, né? É isso, eu acho. Beleza, a casa. Começou ela falando que vai
I
começar do
lived
começo.
here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
Beleza, quando ela for falar, eu vou ficar calado, tá bom? Morou aqui até os 11 anos e ela não podia entrar em alguns cômodos. Por que será que não podia? Por que será que ela não podia, quer dizer?
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
Porra, de 7 anos
I
atrás.
hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
Ah, o irmão dela... Ai, caralho, o irmão dela provavelmente morreu. Não, provavelmente o irmão dela morreu. Mano, eu tô
In
com
a
medo.
will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked.
Então, a mãe dela
Maybe
provavelmente...
she thought I'd know. Or she thought the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
Então é isso. Agora eu não sei se eu desço aqui ou continuo reto. Vou continuar reto, vou descer não. Ela falou que a mãe dela deixou uma chave pra ela, né? Acho que você consegue, tá conseguindo acompanhar o que ela tá falando. Não sei se... O videogame tá fazendo muito barulho, mas acho que é por causa do jogo.
No
O
one
jogo
had
é...
driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
Fazia tempo que ninguém vinha aqui, não sei o que. Eu acho que o jogo acho que é pesado, tá ligado? Por causa dos caralho. Se o barulho do jogo estiver alto do
The truth
videogame...
is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
Olha a casa. Caralho, que
The house
sinistro.
was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
A casa estava exatamente do jeito que lembrava. Ah, vai tomar no cu, sumiu. Cara, imagina arrumar uma casa dessa, velho. Porra.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words.
Ai, mano, na moral, tá parecendo coisa de terror. A menina ficava desconfortável e não sabia por quê. Ah, pelo amor de Deus, hein. Opa. Desaparecido aqui, ó. Tem alguém foi desaparecido aqui. Um monte de cartaz desaparecido. Mesa virada.
I asked Edie once about the dragon in the pond. She said it had killed her husband. I was 6. It seemed like an odd joke to me, even then.
Eu não entendi. Alguém matou o marido com um dragão ali. Sei lá.
Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
Ah, se você com 17 tá com medo, por que eu não posso ter? Eu tenho 16, querida. E aí? Ela tá com medo da casa. Ah, mano, vai se fuder. Eu tô com medo. Puta que pariu. Eu vou abrir, eu vou abrir, eu vou abrir.
I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't.
Ah, que bom que não abriu. Por que você não desiste? Não?
Looking in, I felt like the house itself had been waiting for me.
Ah, esse bagulho de casa esperando por nós aí não dá certo não, mano. Desapega. Tá, vamos entrar pelos fundos então, mano. Ai, caralho, que susto. Pela garagem? Não, pela garagem acho que não dá pra entrar não. Mano, essa porra anda muito devagar, mano. Tem 17 anos. Que isso? Ah, esse bagulho aqui, mano, esse bagulho tá cagaço do caralho. Ah, eu sou cagão mesmo. E aí? E aí? Que é isso? Ah não, tá de sacanagem.
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
Mano, por que essa doente entra por aqui? Ah, vai se foder, mano.
The power had been turned off the night we left.
A energia foi desligada na noite que nós foi embora. E vai ficar desligada? E aí? Eu tenho medo. Ah, tem um lugar aqui legal, legal, muito legal essa casa. Acho que já poderia ir embora já, não sei. Na minha breve opinião.
For the first time in years,
Pela primeira vez em anos, o quê? Você vai tomar
I
um
felt
susto?
like I was home.
Eu senti como se estivesse em casa. Onde é que ela ficou esse tempo todo? Que a família dela provavelmente morreu.
But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
Nossa, mano, cara, deve ser mó triste, né? Chega assim numa casa antiga tua, não tem mais nada. Várias coisas que tinha hoje em dia não tem mais. Que isso?
Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
É, comia comida chinesa, né?
Or how after Louis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
Ah, ela tinha umas gatas chamadas Molly, mano. Legal. Que isso? Você tá funcionando? Não. Vamos lá.
The table was still a wreck from the night we left.
Porra,
It was
mesmo.
like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
Porra, nossa, mano, zoado, né? A galera foi embora e não levou nada. O que aconteceu? Que todo mundo tinha até um cadeirante aqui, ó. O nome do cadeirante era Ed. Ah, tem como dar zoom.
My mom was the only one of us who could imagine great-grandma Edie living in a nursing home.
É, a Ed era a bisavó dela, Ah, filha da puta, letra do caralho. Some toda hora que eu vou ler, vai se fuder. Fiquei nervoso. Mano, eu tô com
Nothing in
medo.
the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth. Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
Ah, foda-se, foda-se, foda-se. Não quero saber. Vamos ver essa caixinha aqui. Ah, não. Ih. Eu tô com medo. Vai vir um palhaço, quer ver? Oh, meu Deus. Ai.
Great-grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
Ah, não.
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
Meu Deus, ela não consegue quebrar esse vidrinho. Ah, não, para essa música, eu me arrependi. Como é que para? Para. Ah, não, velho. Ah, parou, graças a Deus. O que tem aqui?
A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
Mano, o que aconteceu? Eu quero saber o que aconteceu, que foi todo mundo
My
embora.
mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
Ah, então esse aqui, ó, que tá no cartaz aqui, ó, perdido, era o irmão dela. E a mãe dela achou que ele tava muito perdido, só que ele já tava morto já. Ela ficava espalhando cartaz falando que o irmão, ah, meu filho tá vivo, gente, procura ele, mas ele tá morto. Ai, que isso, não.
Edie told me once that every Finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library.
Ah, mano, tá falando que tem gente da família enterrada na biblioteca. O que você tá olhando? Sai daí, piranha. Ah, tomar no cu. Mano, eu tô com medo, velho.
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
Não, beleza, a mãe dela, um irmão dela morreu e sumiu. Aí a mãe foi... Ai, pô, esses quadros aí do caralho. Pera, tem um tubarão aqui. Aí beleza, o irmão dela morreu, a mãe achou que sumiu, ficou procurando, trancou por todos os quartos e tinha uma pessoa que ficava
I spent a
fazendo...
lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I
Aqui,
think
ó.
my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
Esse aqui é o quarto do avô dela. Que
Louis
quarto
told
não?
me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
Passagens secretas. Será que essa chave é sobre essa porra aqui? Não é possível. Terceira coisa que eu tento. Caralho, foi.
Turns
Legal que
out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
era ótimo em guardar segredo. Quem controla a mão dela sou eu. Isso que é legal, do jeito. Ih, caralho. Capítulo 1. Eu vou puxar esse aqui. E... eu tenho que levantar.
Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
Agora é hora de saber o quê? O que minha mãe sempre teve medo. Se sua mãe teve medo, por que você vai, filha da puta? Mano. Antes de eu entrar aí, amor, o que você tá achando dessa porra? O que você acha? Eu vou olhando outra coisa. Eu acho que eu tenho que entrar lá, mas eu vou olhando mais coisas enquanto você fala. O que você tá achando aí? Deixa eu olhar esses quartos.
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
Acho que uma delas era atriz. Uma pessoa da família era atriz, tá vendo? Legal. O quarto da Bárbara aqui, ó, que apareceu ali, a atriz.
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it.
Até os pais. Meu Deus, tem um pé grande ali, ó lá. Tá vendo com ela? Ih, tem mais andar. Será que eu... Não, vou subir. Não. Não, vou subir não, vou subir não, vou subir não. Fala aí, amor, o que você tá achando? Eu tô nervoso, eu tô nervoso. Eu vou só olhar esses quartos aqui, eu entro lá naquele lugar lá. Aqui morou 2 pessoas.
The last time I was in Edith Sr.'s room, I was 10 and she was painting my portrait.
Muito legal, tinha um amigão dela aqui que ficava pintando coisa. Mano, imagina morar numa casa dessa, velho.
As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of. My Grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother, Calvin.
Sabe qual é o nome disso? Ingratidão e 249, é o que tá escrito aí. Ai, vamos, fé em Deus. Olha isso, já começa com esse
From the
bagulho.
paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me.
O irmão dela passou por aqui. Antes de morrer, né? Tragédia.
Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan.
Lendo isso, parece que eu tinha um plano. Um plano pra quê? Meu Deus,
But I
que
had no idea what was behind that door.
Você não fazia ideia porque... não, eu não quero mais. Ela tá contando a história do passado, tá ligado? Ela tá lendo um livro e contando isso aqui que aconteceu. O que vai acontecer?
Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
Para onde isso tudo... Assim como eu não fazia ideia de onde... Caralho, que porra vai acontecer nessa casa? Que casa é essa? Eu tô nervoso. Mano, tem uma estrela do mar morta aqui, mano. Eles fazem experimento com o Patrick, velho. Molly. Oxa, Molly. A gatinha dormiu aqui. Molly Finch. A gatinha? Não.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
Pera. Eu tava... peraí, eu acho que eu entendi, amor. Deixa eu tentar te explicar. Oxe, que isso? Eita. Pera. Ela tava contando uma história de que contou na casa. Aí assim que ela pegou um livro de algum familiar dela do passado e foi ler tipo um diário da família dela, de alguém que já morreu, ela tá vivenciando a história. Tipo, agora eu sou a Molly, eu acho. E ela falou que naquela noite eu tava com fome e fui procurar alguma coisa pra comer, né? Aí eu acho que agora eu sou a Molly e eu tenho que procurar alguma coisa pra comer. Eu não tô afim não. Peraí, eu tinha um hamster. A ação do Gerbil.
The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
A menina vai comer a ração do hamster, mano. Não, achei que era um hamster, mas era um papel higiênico. Porra, super a ver.
My Halloween candy was all gone.
Os doces de Halloween dela foi embora. Peraí, antes de sair. Mano, caralho, que viagem, velho. Que porra. Não, acho que aquilo aí é um armário. Eu vou no armário primeiro antes de ir embora. Eu pensei que a Molly era uma gata.
Mom, can I come out now?
Não chama sua mãe não.
It's late. Go to sleep.
Querida, é tarde, vai dormir. Pelo menos a minha mãe respondeu. Pelo menos foi a mãe. Graças a Deus que foi a mãe. Peraí. Mano, tá. Peraí, deixa eu ver. Que bizarro, velho. Na moral, só vamos pegar só. Tinha um peixe. Ela vai comer o peixe? Pensei em comer o peixe?
I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back.
Vai tomar no cu, a menina pensou em comer o peixe, velho. Caralho, isso acho que é os moradores do Central Park que pensam nisso quando deve estar com fome. Ah não, mentira que a menina vai se matar, velho.
I kept eating and eating.
Mano, que isso, mano? Ela tá comendo. Eu vou só fazer as coisas e vou ficar calado.
I ate a lot of things that night. Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly,
Hã?
I was a cat.
Hã? Ela virou um gato? Ah, aqui que pula.
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared.
Eu sou um gatinho. Mas não tô entendendo porra nenhuma, mas sou um gato pelo menos. Tô tentando pegar a porra do pássaro. Cadê? Como é que eu vou ali?
Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
É lógico que não olhou pra você, você era um gato, você virou um gato, sua criança retardada do caralho. Vai comer frutinha aí, filha da puta, o que acontece? Vou pular onde agora? Cadê? Não sei. Faço a mínima ideia. Que isso? Quase que eu caio, será que eu tenho que ir pra onde? Eu não sei. No cucure ali? Caralho, sou bom de mira, hein? Ah, pra onde é que eu vou? Esse pássaro tá de tiração com a minha cara aí. Eu até miei aqui, pera aí, não tô sem saber onde é que eu tenho que ir, velho. Caralho, onde é que eu tenho que ir, mano? Jogo, filho da puta. Ah, tá. Para de miar, gatinho. Tô triste, tô com medo, mano. Mano, a criança vai morrer, mano. Ela virou um gato do nada. E ela quer comer um pássaro ainda. Vem cá.
I jumped and I almost got her. I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird.
Ela queria comer o pássaro, velho. Caralho, que criança do capeta é essa, mano? Eu vou comer.
I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
Agora eu sou uma coruja. É, sou uma coruja. Eu tenho que fazer o quê?
Rabbits.
Comer rato? Cadê a porra do... Não, rato não. Coelhos. Cadê coelhos? Cadê coelhos? Ah, tá.
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
Que isso, mano? A criança tá... Virou... Mano, que lombra é essa, mano? Que frutinha era aquela, viado?
A mama rabbit.
Uma mamãe coelha? Onde você tá vendo mamãe coelha, filhote? Eita porra ali.
She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
O quê? Ih, fudeu, fudeu. Peixe fora d'água, peixe fora d'água, peixe fora d'água, peixe fora d'água. Vai, cai, tubarão. Mano, que lombra é essa, mano? O que eu tô jogando, velho?
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever.
É muito ruim controlar isso, eu não tenho noção, meu Deus. Cadê? O que vai comer agora? Uai, mano, não tô entendendo, não tô achando nada. Opa, achei.
I wanted fat, juicy seals.
Nossa, onde é que eu tô? Entrei dentro do chão. Que isso, jogo? Uai.
I tore off her flipper and it tasted really good. I grabbed on tight, but I was so hungry I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
Que eu sou? Uma cobra? Que isso?
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere.
Agora eu era um monstro e sentia cheiro das pessoas por todos os lados. É realmente um monstro, né, amigão? Que porra é essa, garota? Olha isso, o que tá acontecendo com esse jogo? Caralho, ó. Eita, buguei.
I was big, but I moved real quiet.
Ah, vai comer o cara, mano. Tô de sacanagem. Caralho, comeu o cara mesmo.
I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
Conheço essa música. Conheço essa música. Eu quero ler o bagulho que eu não li ali, ó. Apareceu um bagulho sobre pirata, não apareceu? Marujo, o que fazer com o Marujo? Ah, ele tá cantando. Pois é, eu conheço essa música.
After the last passenger, I was still hungry. And to cross the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it.
que ela virou agora? Mano, que porra é essa? Que isso? Ah,
I
continua sendo.
slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
Que isso, mano? Que bizarro, velho. O que tá acontecendo aqui, velho? Ó, dá pra ir rodando. Eita porra, buguei. Caralho, o que aconteceu? Eu acho que eu buguei o jogo. Meu Deus, Que? Esse é o banheiro dela?
I got closer and closer.
Cada vez mais perto. É o quarto dela, mano. Meu Deus, pera, ela vai se comer? Não, não consigo subir a cama. Mano, o que vai acontecer? Por onde é que eu tenho que ir? Tá escuro. Debaixo da cama, eu acho. Todos os meus
All of my
estômagos
stomach started growling,
começaram a roncar.
and suddenly I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep, but it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to be, and we both know I will be delicious.
Mano,
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
caralho, eu tô
I got the
grila...
sense Edie had spent a lot of time here before my mom sealed the doors.
Você entendeu, amor? Tipo, caralho. A menina, não sei se que nem falou, não sabe se é verdade, mas aparentemente a menina morreu porque ela foi virando aquelas coisas, virando aquela coisa, e quando ela virou o bicho ficou debaixo da cama dela. Aí ela
I can't
acordou.
describe it, but I felt like some part of Molly was still here.
Tá ligado? Aí ela acordou e sabia
I
que.
grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
Tá ligado? Aí, tipo, ela se tocou que aquele bicho tava comendo tudo, inclusive ia comer ela. Ela foi e escreveu no diário, tipo, eu sei que agora eu vou morrer. Caralho, mano, que bizarro.
Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
Amor, o que você achou disso, mano? Falei, é bizarro, né? Caralho, mano. Vou continuar.
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room.
Isso aqui é o quarto da Bisa Ed. Uma gaiola com foto de passarinho, foto de cobra. Deve ser falecido, tá vendo? Tem uma vela, tipo, falecido passarinho. Vou ler o que você mandou aqui, peraí. Dá medo, não dá? Mas você conseguiu entender o bagulho da menina, da criança, que morreu? Você acha que ela morreu? Ela morreu, né? Eu não sei se a criança
When Edie
morreu.
told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't.
Pera, aí se liga. Você viu que... Pera, eu perdi o raciocínio. A menininha, acho que ela morreu. Só que, tipo, ninguém sabe se ela realmente morreu com aquela história toda, tipo, de um bicho debaixo da cama dela e comeu ela, ou se ela, sei lá, se matou pulando da janela sem querer, ou então comeu fruta envenenada, sei lá, ou então morreu comendo alguma coisa. Que ela comeu coisa pra caralho, comeu pasta de dente a menina, mano. Aí aqui falou aqui desse bisavô dela, que ele falou, não, a galera falou que ele morreu por um dragão. Mas, quer dizer, ele falou, sei lá, alguma coisa falou que ele morreu por um dragão. Mas, na real, ele morreu construindo um dragão. Que tava até lá no lago, quebrado. Aí eu acho que a próxima história provavelmente vai ser dele e vai ser gente, sei lá, com um dragão. Né? Acho que eu tô...
One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity.
Acho que eu tô conseguindo entender um
I
pouco.
hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time. Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious.
Mano, existia até um homem topeira que morava na casa deles, tá ligado? Notícias. Acho, sei lá,
Edie
mano.
knit me a new pair of gloves every year, just in time to replace the old ones. Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him.
Olha que legal, no tronco da árvore, mano. Mano, parece... Isso tá parecendo, sabe o quê? Tipo Gravity Falls, tá ligado? Alguma parada do tipo, mano. Ah, amor, pode dormir. Pera aí. Aqui, ó, o próximo livro aqui, acho que vai começar agora a próxima história. Pode dormir. Você quer que eu faça o quê? Você quer que eu continue fazendo live? Quer que eu pare? Você que sabe.
Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
Eita, abriu mesmo o quarto. Nossa, olha esse banheiro. É uma perereca, lembrei da minha avó, mano. Minha avó gosta muito de perereca, de sapo.
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace.
Aqui, ó, próxima chave, tá vendo? E beleza, próxima chave. Amor, fala aí, você quer que eu continue gravando? Não, você que sabe, porque provavelmente eu vou te contar a história do jogo, né? Vou te contar a história do jogo depois e tal. Pelo menos o que eu entendi. Aí, se você quiser, eu gravo tudo, continuo gravando, jogando. Aí eu te conto e te falo algumas partes pra você ver e tal. Sei lá, pra mais tarde, quando você estiver fazendo nada, ver o vídeo e quando eu... Sei lá, foda-se, pra ficar salvo. Você que sabe. Ah, deixa eu ver logo essa porra aqui.
For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind.
Tá bom, vou ver depois, acho difícil, acho mais fácil, tipo assim, eu te contar e falar, amor, vê aquela parte lá e você vê. Porque acho que vai demorar muito isso aqui, vai ficar muito grande. Mas eu vou continuar gravando até eu dormir, tá? Te amo, pode ir dormir, dorme vendo aí.
But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
Pera aí, eu só vou terminar de ler isso aqui, eu me despeço de você. Ah tá, pronto. Eita.
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Pois é, amor, pode ir, tá bom? Te amo muito, 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 muito. Dorme com Deus. Boa noitinha. Até amanhã. Oxi, eu sou lindo. Tá bom, amor, te amo. Você também é muito linda, viu? Muito linda. Amanhã é dia das mães. Por favor, não saia de casa, tá bom? Não saia de casa, fique em casa. Você é muito bonita. Hoje você foi teimosa. Eu falei, não, amor, não sai com essa roupa. E você vai lá e sai, né? Não, mas é piada, pô. Lógico que você pode sair com a roupa, né?
Great Grandma had always been the family's biggest fan.
Então tá bom, vai lá. Te amo muito. Eu tô com sono também, olha aí. Tô com bastante sono. Ai. Vou abrir outro livro aqui. Te amo. Quando eu for deitar pra dormir, eu vou te mandar áudio, como eu sempre faço, né? Beijo.
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book. Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down. I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin, and that he never talked about him.
Não, eu queria entrar aqui, não. Quero ver o resto das coisas. Ah, que legal. Cada um tem um fortezinho, era de irmãos. Um quarto legal, assim. Caraca, que maneiro, olha isso.
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom, and he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again, and he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Sam, Calvin, dinner's ready. Coming.
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that,
Calvin, I'm not gonna tell you again.
maybe if the wind hadn't picked up, then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother. the day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
Ô João, é o jogo que sai de
The
graça.
passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star. I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards. Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up, a has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent. She found found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Oh dear!
Oh!
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your screen.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and you're...
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
Ah, mano, por que eu tenho que jogar sempre essa porra?
Walter, are you there?
Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and... was speechless. He was quite smashing. And whoever he was, he couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully. Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges groaned. He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet. The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
Cagaço, hein? Cagaço, hein?
Someone at the door was dying to speak to young Barbara. At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
Já sei onde é que tem que ir. Não, peraí, eu quero voltar.
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
É isso que eu ia lá agora.
It's funny. All those times I played with the music box and never found the basement key.
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages.
I thought maybe she was hiding presents.
It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that. I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could. If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Esse aqui é o pai da Bárbara, eu acho.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week. But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly.
Janeiro.
And then one day, everything just
2005,
stopped.
no ano que ele morreu. Agora vai acontecer alguma coisa.
Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave while I still can. I know it's out there, somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara and Molly and Calvin. Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me. Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left. Or a month. Or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here.
Ele morreu com um trem, agora eu só não sei
I'm
se
sure my mom was trying to protect me.
Não sei se o trem veio de frente ou veio de trás, mano. Muito estranho, né? Se vier de trás. Pô.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter. But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made. Trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe 2, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
I don't know if I should even be writing this.
Puta. Meu Deus, é verdade.
Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of. Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
Mas pera aí, tem um monte de história ainda. Pra mim o jogo tá acabando agora, eu tô conseguindo entender algumas coisas.
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible. I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house? It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils were mine, and 2 had been my fault. Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery. I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
Peraí, tá de sacanagem, peraí, por que eu tô aqui? Ah, tá.
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night. Edie's side was always easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better. She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us. We never found Milton's body. So my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone. There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself. But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
Nunca teria vindo quando estava grávida de 22 semanas. Ela com 17 anos está grávida. E tá sozinha aqui. Ué, gente.
I never met Greg. I think he and my mom had a lot in common. They were both pretty intense. Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something. Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
Shouldn't we be leaving?
Just want to get a shot of you, Dawn, then we can take off.
What?
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are.
Definitely should.
Hey!
That's a keeper.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Dawn, don't you think you could find something more interesting to photograph? Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip. Your grandpa Sven taught us how to fish, how to build a fire. We found an old logging trail. There were deer everywhere.
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Just breathe. Turn off your imagination. Focus on your target. Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to be strong. Now keep yourself squared up, elbows down, like we practiced. Whenever you're ready. Great shot, Dawn! I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about—
Dad!
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
Se fuder, eu tenho que se fuder mesmo, matando animal, caralho. Vai tomar no cu. Esse viadinho tava certo, tem que matar mesmo. Agora, por onde é que eu vou, caralho? Ah, tá.
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Pô, velho, um bebê desse tamanho assim morreu.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
Uma criança, um bebê. Vamos ver do bebê.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
Watching over Gregory, it's time to... Hold on, sweetie.
Puta que pariu, acho que eu sei o que vai acontecer.
Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I wonder what he saw. What his world was like. He reminded me so much of Calvin. Lost in his imagination. Whatever it was he saw, it sure made him happy.
Acabei de descobrir que crianças...
I know how silly it sounds. That I worried about a baby being too happy. But I could feel him slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
Mano, isso não é nem perereca, homicida, mata criança.
About the world he saw. Hey, there's so much I don't understand. About Gregory. About everything. But I know what happened wasn't your fault. I'm sure he's happy. And he'd want you to be happy too.
Mano, caralho,
Good
que
luck,
pesado. Mano.
Love, Sam.
Peraí, falta quantos? Falta o Ed, que morreu em 2010. Falta o Gus, o Dawn, o Milton e o Lewis. Mano, caraca, o da criança foi muito pesado, mano. E faz sentido, mano.
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, "We don't need a stepmom," were the words that I remembered.
I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger. The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent. The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made. The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder." I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, Just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
Não entendi como ele morreu não, se bateu o vento nele e tal.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get. She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
Caraca, esse aqui é o bagulho da mãe dela.
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
Não, pera aí, eu subi e desci à toa. Porra.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later. When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal. But it didn't last. The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings. Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
Socorro, não entendi.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
não entendi, eu fui pulando, não prestei atenção.
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
Ele abriu uma porta e sumiu.
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Tá de zoa, velho. Eu não entendi, pra mim ele pegou um pincel mágico, abriu uma porta e sumiu com o pincel. Putz.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
Bento leva o cheiro desse narguilé.
Louis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Louis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Louis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Louis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Louis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Louis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis, until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Louis kept sailing on. In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for sinister serpents. He followed the sound of her silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him. He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him. His queen waited, holding his crown.
Puta que pariu, mano, que bizarro isso.
There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head. And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Mano, véi.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Caralho, eu acho que não sei qual foi mais pesado, mano. Tá ligado? Ele se matou no bagulho, mano. Ele
On the way
cortou.
back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie.
Porra.
I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder.
Aqui é o último, eu acho.
I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe you should have come sooner.
O que aconteceu, cara? Eu tô curioso.
But it had to end one way or another.
Meu
All
Deus.
that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
É, vai ter que contar agora. Sobre a última noite, pois é. Ai. Agora não vai escrever.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
Agora nós é nós. Opa.
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories! I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't.
and then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you. And tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Cara, nem sei o que falar, mano. Não sei. Não tenho o que dizer não. Vou só desligar aqui e acabou. Só sei que eu tô muito grilado. Eu sei que teve bastante mortes, todas bizarras, 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 bizarras. Várias bizarras. A única que eu não entendi foi do Gus, do moleque que soltava pipa. A Ed eu não lembro o que aconteceu. Não lembro, esqueci. Molly foi uma viagem do caralho, mas pô, legal. Bárbara parece que os fãs dela matou ela, sei lá. Dawn, que era a mãe dela, morreu de não sei o que, eu acho que era a mãe dela. Edith, ela ficou grávida e morreu. Mas eu não entendi o final, mano. Acho que o mais triste ali foi o do Lewis, o do Gregory, o Milton eu não entendi. O Walter, o bicho fica 30 anos preso no bagulho pra sair e morrer. É isso aí, mano. Depois eu vejo o que aconteceu. Vou acabar a live.